Hey, Will King here. Today on the Build Show, I want to take you through a backyard that I had a lot of fun building and putting together. I want to show you some of the features we use and some of the planning that went into it. Let's walk around this thing and take a look. All right, so to start with, this is a pretty large backyard space on this lake project here. And you see immediately the fake turf that's back here. And that's something that was important to the client because they didn't want to have the maintenance of grass around the pool. And they also wanted it to be nice and green year round. It really helps keep your pool clean when you're not having as much, many lawnmowers and weed eaters that close to your pool all the time. So that's why you're seeing as much turf as you are. But you have to establish a barrier between the turf and the sod, which you can see we used a limestone cap that runs all the way down the perimeter, and that's going to give us that separation. That way the landscape guys have a nice border they can use their edger on to make that sod look good where it ties in. The other thing is that turf gets hot. You have to remember that. Here in Alabama, direct overhead sun, this turf is going to get really warm in direct sunlight. So there's two things about that. One, we have a nice path of pavers. So this is actually a limestone paver. This actual limestone came from a plant actually not far from here. It's a company called Vetterstone. This is their Alabama stone product, quarried here in Russellville. But we used it for pavers to have a nice walk path. One, from a design standpoint, it looks really good. It's also cooler to walk on. It doesn't even get as hot as regular concrete. So when the turf's too hot, you have the ability to walk from the deck to the backyard down to the boat and not have to walk on the turf. The other thing about turf being so hot is that there's actually irrigation in this turf that you can turn on. So if you're having a big party and you have a lot of kids out here, you can turn that water on to both clean the turf some, but also to keep it cool when you have a lot of foot traffic. The next thing I'll tell you about is audio. So that's one thing that was important to this family, is to have a really good audio system around their pool. So we have a series of speakers that our AV company we used installed. There's also even a subwoofer out here, but if you notice, looking around the putting green, the fire pit area, and the pool, all these speakers are facing in, so you really get a good effect when you're sitting out here beside the pool. And that's of course powered by a Sonos amp, just like the entire house that's on Sonos audio. So you can have really independent control of this zone or the zone on the back porch. Or if you're watching a ball game on the back porch, you can turn this audio on to that ball game as well. So even if you can't see the TV, you can at least hear it. All right, so let's talk about the pool itself. So this is a 16 by 40 fiberglass shell pool. I think Leisure Pool is actually the pool manufacturer itself. It has a nice tanning ledge on the shallow end, I guess, where those chairs are located. But an interesting thing about this pool is that it also has an auto cover. And that's what you're seeing here in front of me, is this gray cover. There's a remote on the back porch that'll actually unroll this cover. It is a solid cover. It traps water on top. It doesn't go through it. So you have to have a plug location, which we have behind this wall, and that's where the pump will plug in to keep the water, rainwater, off the cover itself. But I can tell you already, having that cover closed is really nice in the fall, which is the season we're entering into here. All these leaves around me can create quite the challenge when it comes to keeping the pool clean. So if you haven't done an auto cover, I would encourage you to look at it if you're trying to keep a pool nice and clean year round. But around the pool, the coping, again, more limestone. That's the Vetterstone product from here in Alabama. We use that for the coping and then tie that into the turf behind it. All right, another big piece of this backyard is also the putting green. Now, I'm not a golfer in any capacity, but this is a really neat putting green. I have played a little bit of putt-putt golf, so I think I could probably accomplish getting the ball in the hole out here. But if you notice, looking at it flat, there's actually some undulations. I hope I'm saying that right. So the terrain changes, so it's a little more challenging than just a nice flat spot. But it ties into the turf of the pool and creates a nice little entertainment space outside. If you have a lot of people over, they're not just swimming and in the spa, they also have a nice little place to hit a few golf balls. So this is a neat addition for sure. All right, so we're moving on down here to one of my favorite spots of this backyard. This is where the spa is, and this is where the fire pit is. Nice little entertainment space. If you notice, the elevation of this these pavers are actually below the putting green, a little bit below the pool. We did that for a couple of reasons. One, it makes it more interesting, but it also helps us with our elevation change here behind us and the steps leading down to the lower patio. But this is, again, a fiberglass spa. It's encased in limestone all the way around, the same coping that matches the pool deck, and the stone is actually what's also on the house, of course. The fire pit actually is something that I've never done one just like this. It's a very large fire pit. We've actually got natural gas piped from down below coming up to this fire pit. The pavers on top, these big limestone caps, we actually didn't set them in mortar just so that we could get back to access the cutoff valve. There's electrical under there. We left those loose intentionally so that you could get back to them. But this created a really nice fall, winter entertainment space too, with the hot tub and the fire pit. It creates really like a multi-season backyard that I think the family can enjoy year-round. If you're planning the backyard setup like this one, you have to put some thought into all the utilities that are going to go to this thing to feed all the things that are happening out here. There's lots of pipes in the ground. There's everything from natural gas to speaker wire to water lines, all the power and low voltage going to the lights. All those things have to be planned for in advance. And also, one of the challenges here was just setting the elevations of everything. You know, starting with the pool deck, starting down here to the fire pit, and then the transition to the backyard, how tall to make our retaining walls, because those have to be done very early. That created some challenges for sure, and a few little hiccups, if I'm being honest. It's not a perfect build by any means. There's always gonna be things you have to overcome in these projects. But I will tell you, after pulling it off and building this, it's very satisfying to see, and it makes me want to really do more outdoor spaces like this one. All right, guys, I was glad to get to share some of these details with you today. It's not a normal video for me, but this is something that I'm proud of, to be honest, and I wanted to share with you what it looked like and some of the things that had to go into building it. If you're not already following me on Instagram, please go do so. It's at Will King Builds, and just remember, iron sharpens iron, so keep grinding, keep watching these videos, and we'll see you right here on The Build Show.